In this video, we're going to look at organic chemistry. And what is organic chemistry? Well, it's the study of carbon-containing compounds and their properties. So it's all about carbon. Inorganic chemistry, which is another branch, is kind of every other chemical that you've probably seen that is not alive. So we're looking at living, organic, carbon things for inorganic chemistry. So what's special about carbon? Well, it's found in group 4, which means that it needs to form 4 bonds to become stable. So it's all about the number 4. And what we're going to be doing a lot here is we're going to use hydrogen, because hydrogen is able to come along and nicely fill one of those 4 bonds with the carbons. They can fill all 4, they can fill 3, 2, or 1, whatever they're going to do. Hydrogen is very helpful. So what are hydrocarbons used for, and what are they? Firstly, that just by the name may insinuate, hydro meaning hydrogen, carbon meaning carbon. So these hydrocarbons are compounds that contain only hydrogen and carbon, and they are used every day as fuels like gasoline. So hydrocarbons. So there's a couple of branches that we're going to be exploring in the first couple of lessons. Firstly, we're going to look at alkanes, which have single bonds. Then we're going to look at alkenes that have a double bond. And then we're going to look at alkynes that have triple bonds. And all these hydrocarbons can be found as either a straight chain or they can be found as some kind of ring. And we'll investigate both of those as well. So let's start with the alkanes, the compounds that have single bonded carbon-carbon. And so this is just the way I like to do it, showing that 2 carbons have bonded together. So any hydrocarbon containing only single bonds can also be known as a saturated hydrocarbon. So if you hear me say the word saturated, I'm talking about a hydrocarbon with single bonds. So probably the easiest thing to do is to talk about the first 10 alkanes here. So I want you to pause the video and create this table. Leave yourself enough space in the drawing column. And now we're going to fill this in. So we're going to start with the simplest one here, which is made of 1 carbon. Would just look like this. And so we'll draw our carbon, we'll draw our 4 bonds, and then we're going to put hydrogens at the end of each of those bonds to make the molecule stable. There's kind of no condensed drawing of this one, or it might look exactly like the general formula, which is CH4. Now these are alkanes, so all of our endings are going to end in ane. And when you see something with 1 carbon today, we're going to have to remember the prefix is meth. So remember, meth means 1. That's going to come up again later. If we're looking at the next one, it's got 2 carbons. So what I like to do is draw those 2 carbons, bond them together, and then go about adding my hydrogens in. When we condense, it looks a little something like this. So this CH3 would represent those carbons and hydrogens, and then the CH3 would represent those carbon and hydrogens. And we can just condense it all together to give us our C2H6 formula, which is now called ethane. So we drop the M, so F means 2 carbons. Something with 3 carbons, we'll just draw this one. And then we'll go ahead and write our condensed right beside it. And there's our general formula. And for King of the Hill fans, Hank's favorite gas is propane. We're only going to draw a couple more because it's going to start to get very repetitive here. So we've got 4 carbons. It looks a little like that. Condense it out. There's your general formula. And this one has a unique name. This is called butane. And when we start to get to the 5th one, which is pentane, all we're really doing is we're just adding another one of these CH2 units in the middle every time. It's just getting bigger. You might even notice that our carbons are always going up by 1 and our hydrogens are going up by 2. Now this one's named pentane. Now the rest of these ones after this all sort of follow the conventional shape prefixes that we've seen before. Again, feel free to pause the video and get this jotted down. Once you got that down, here is pretty much the rest that we need to know. We already drew these ones here, so make sure you get hexane and its formula, heptane, octane, nonane, and decane written down. And while you're doing that, you might notice that there's this weird thing at the bottom here. This just helps you figure out the formula. So if you say you took the number 10 and you plugged it in for the N, you'd get 10 carbons. Then you put the 10 in over there, and it would tell you that you have 22 hydrogens, and that would give the formula of decane. C10H22. It's kind of handy. Anyway, knowing this, we can now tackle a few questions. So let's name the following. So if you're going to name the following, what I would do is I would simply draw over and count how many carbons I'm drawing over here. I drew over 8. That means this one is octane. And I draw my hydrogens in, and I'm done. Octane. Now the other version of a question we can do right now is we could draw the following. So what if I said draw hexane? Well, you'd say to yourself, okay, it's got hex is 6, so I'm going to draw 6 carbons like that. And then I'm going to start to put my hydrogens in. So here's a little bit of a short form. Looking just briefly back at our earlier example, this N carbon actually ends up having 3 hydrogens around it. So when I go to do that, I can draw all the hydrogens out, or I could just put H3. Done. Now any of these middle units are going to have 2 hydrogens, so I can put H2 there, H2 there, H2 there, H2 there, and then again we're at an N carbon, so it's got 3 hydrogens. So that's kind of our condensed version. Now I don't care if you draw them like this till you're good. Eventually it might be a little faster to move on to this, but whichever method works for you, and do it. It's fine. So continuing on here, now that we've got some knowledge, I want to talk about something called an isomer, or isomers. These are compounds with the same general formula, but are drawn differently, and thus they have different properties. They're different compounds. I want to explore this through an example here. So draw CH10 as many different ways as possible. Now when you see that, you should say to yourself, okay, C4 means butane, so that's probably the first one we're going to draw. And if you count up the hydrogens, there are 10 hydrogens. And you're right, we've got butane. But there's actually another way for us to connect up the carbons. So the first thing we could do is we could draw 3 carbons in a row, and then we could take that 4th carbon, instead of sticking it on the ends, we could stick it pointing up, or it could point down. It's kind of the same thing. So we've actually connected these in a different way. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and put your hydrogens in, like so, and count them up, and sure enough we do have 10 hydrogens, so both formulas are C4H10. The problem is that whereas this chain was 4 long to call it a butane, this other chain that we drew is only 3 long. It could be 3 that way, you could actually sort of come up with 3 that way. Any way you can see 3 that way. There's many different ways. The fact is when you get 3 carbons in a row, you can't call it a butane anymore, you have to call it a propane. So if we just, let's say for example, we just said that that was going to be our carbon chain, we've actually still got to name this CH3 group that's now coming off this chain. So we need to talk about this because this is something new. This is what we call a substituent group. So we're going to draw another chart here. Let's call this one the substituent group chart. It's going to be shorter than the last one. And these are groups of carbons connected to our main chain. Again, we'll start with one that has 1. This is the one we just kind of saw. Looks a little something like that. You can put your hydrogens in. And here is where it would bond to the parent chain. Now there isn't really a condensed. Kind of the, you know, the general formula and condensed are sort of the same thing. Perhaps I should have just put them together. Anyway, if you've got a CH3 unit, you're going to call it a methyl. Now notice our ending has changed. It's now YL. This stands for a methyl version. Methane would be a complete molecule. Methyl is an incomplete molecule. It's going to attach to another molecule to become complete. So how about, let's go on to our second one here. It looks a little something like that. Again, you put your hydrogens on. And we can draw a condensed like that. And there's our general formula. Either of these are going to be acceptable when you draw a molecule. And just like before we saw ethane, now we have an ethyl. And when it comes to 3, it looks a little something like that. Now, again, we're just starting to add this extra CH2 unit in every time. Our general formula goes up by 1 carbon and 2 hydrogens. You'll notice our general formula is not quite the same as our previous general formula. We've lost a hydrogen in each example. Anyway, this one's propyl. And so we're just going to carry on with butyl, pentyl, etc., all the way up to decyl. You're mainly going to come across these ones, though, in part of today's lesson anyway. So if we jump back to this example and we want to name this one properly, we said that that was our propane, and then this is our methyl group. And it's important we tell the reader which carbon this is on, because it's like this is the first carbon, that's our second carbon, that's our third carbon. We got a methyl group hanging off the second carbon, so we could call this a 2-methyl propane. Some people would also just say it's a methylpropane. We don't need to put the 2 because there's only one place to put that methyl group, and it was on the middle carbon, whether it pointed up or pointed down. That was the only place to put it. So you could call it a methylpropane. So I want to talk about some rules now that we've just come across for naming these branched chain alkanes. So the first thing we're always going to do is we're going to name the longest chain. So take your pen or pencil, draw on your piece of paper, and all the ones you've drawn over make your longest chain. This is also called the parent chain. Number 2, we're going to number the chain so the subgroups have the lowest number possible. We haven't really come across this lowest number possible, but we want to number our chain so we get these subgroups to have lowest numbers. Let's investigate an example, and we're going to come back and we're going to end up with 5 rules. So give yourself some space on your paper as you copy these down. Okay, so let's name the following. I haven't drawn in all the hydrogens. I'm going to do that last. I just wanted to make this clear here. So rule 1 says we want to draw on our longest chain. So there's actually a couple of different ways we could have a longest chain of what looks to be 4. You could have 4 there, or if I change colors, you could go and down. Either way produce 4. Good news is either way are going to produce the same answer. So why don't we just stick with the blue one, which is straight across. Okay, so we're going to call this, what do we call 4 carbons straight across? We call it a butane. Now we need to identify this group. This is a methyl group, and methyl. That didn't work out. There we go, methyl. And what carbon is it on? Well, let's count this here. If we went this direction, 1, 2, 3, we could say it's on the 3rd carbon. But I guess the problem is that we always want to have the lowest number possible. So if we actually numbered right to left, this would be 1 and this would be 2. So we actually have a methyl group on the 2nd carbon. We're going to call this a 2-methyl. And again, just like the previous example, we don't actually need the 2 because, well, there's my hydrogens. There we go. And there's that molecule, it's just backwards. So we don't really need the 2 because I can move this methyl group to different sites on the carbon chain, like there. So I just moved it up to that spot. It's still the same molecule, I just flipped it around. Now I just flipped it down, so now it's pointing down, still the same molecule. Even in that position there, that methyl group is still, they're all the same molecule. That's kind of my point here. So there's only one way to draw this one. So we don't actually need that 2. We could just draw it as methyl butane. If you put the 2 as a beginner, I probably wouldn't mark it wrong. But in upper levels, they might want you to recognize that there's only one version of these molecules, and so you don't need that 2. But most of the time, we're going to need the numbers. Very few times we won't. All right, so let's take a look at another example here, and we're going to have a new rule coming. So first things first is we're going to do our longest chain. And longest chain could be across like that. There's actually a second way we could do it. We could go down and across, but I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to go with our first one. So in orange, you color over this, and you say, okay, there were 5 there. That is a pentane. Now let's look at the groups here. Got a subgroup there and a subgroup there, and they are both methyl groups. And here's where we're going to number our chain. Hopefully, again, it looks obvious to you that we've got something on, if we number it this way, we'll have a methyl group on the 2nd carbon right there, and a methyl on the 3rd carbon. So here's how we write that. We write 2, 3. This is going to be one of our new rules, is that you separate numbers with commas. And then we need to say methyl. Now, there's a bit of overkill at this point. Because there are 2 methyl groups, we have to say dimethyl. The di, to me, really, it's kind of like, I know there are 2 methyl groups because there are 2 numbers. But the way to do it properly is you put a prefix in front. So if there were 3 methyl groups on this molecule, you'd say tri. If there were 4, you'd say tetra, and kind of so on here. Now, why are these numbers necessary? Well, look at this example. It's almost identical. All we've done is we've moved that methyl group that was on the 2nd, we moved it over to the 3rd. So we get this molecule here. It's still a pentane, 5 across, and we still have 2 methyl groups, but what's happened is they're both now occurring on the 3rd carbon, so I would actually need a couple of 3s, 3, 3, dimethyl. So both of these compounds would be considered isomers of each other, and hopefully this shows you why you need to put the numbers in. You need to tell the reader, well, what carbon are they on? In this first example, the one was on the 2, one was on the 3, and then in this example here, we had them both on the 3rd carbon, so the dimethyl. So let's add that to our rules. Separate numbers with a comma. I guess I didn't make a big deal of this, but we also want to separate words and numbers with a dash. All right, another example here. Let's get our longest chain. Again, there's a couple of ways to do this longest chain, but I set this one up so we can just go straight across here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carbons. We're going to call this a heptane. Now we need to identify our substituent groups. So this is all of one group. It's got 2 carbons, it's got 5 hydrogens. This is actually an ethyl group. Now, on this end of the molecule, we have 2 other substituent groups. They're separated. They're both CH3s, and hopefully you recognize these as being methyl groups. So we have a couple of methyl groups in this example, and we have an ethyl group. Now the question becomes, which do we put first? And what we want to do is we want to alphabetically organize these. So we want to get these in alphabetical order. That's going to be our 5th rule. So if I number my chain, I get a 1, I get a 2, I get a 3, I get an ethyl group on the 4th carbon, so 4-ethyl. And now what I'm going to do is my methyl groups are both on the 2. So I'm going to call this a dash 2, comma 2. They're both on the 2nd carbon, dimethyl. Now I do want to point something out that I did say that this was going to be in alphabetical order. And if you look, E, and then because we added that prefix, actually there's a dash, don't put that dash, I don't know why that's there. Scribble that dash out. Words can all go together like that. That's all one word. Dashes only go, actually the dash should have been right there. There we go, correct these on the fly. So 2, 2 dash dimethyl heptane. So we put the D in for di. That sort of made it alphabetically ahead of the ethyl, but we actually want to ignore the prefixes when we go to name these things. So don't worry about that di. Again, when you get them in alphabetical order, you got your ethyl before your methyl, and this is going to be our 5th rule. So rule number 5, organize subgroups in alphabetical order, ignoring the prefixes, and I listed 6 prefixes. I just ran out of space. I would have done the rest of them. Okay, so now I want you to complete sheet 1 and check your answers. The front of that sheet is very important. I want you to be careful identifying the parent chain. Let me just show you a couple of tricks that can happen. So for this first example, some students look at this and say, okay, I see 4 across. I'm going to call this a butane. Well, the fact is that the chain's bent up. This is not 4, it's actually 5. Those are all in a row. I can draw them without lifting my pen up, or finger in this case. I would call this one a pentane. I also want to point out, don't get confused when you see one like this. Again, some people might look at this and say, well, I got a butane because there's 4 in a row. Well, hang on a second. We can actually get 5 in a row if we count up there. So butane, no. It's actually some kind of pentane. It can bend around. You just want to draw out your longest chain. So go complete sheet 1, check your work, and don't get fooled. Every trick I could think of is on the sheet, so go check it out.